Welcome back, everybody, to your El Paso Running Podcast. I'm your host for the show, Dr. Maria Fuentes, and as a runner and run coach based here in El Paso, Texas, I've created this open space for all runners of all levels to support the wonderful running community that we have, where we can listen to inspiring stories and learn from each other. In each episode, we dive into expert advice, we listen to what motivates other runners, share training tips, and talk about the latest running trends and local events, helping you stay informed and connected. Let's hit the ground running together and growing and learning together. So for upcoming news, El Paso Marathon is coming up Sunday, February the 22nd, 2026. We're kind of like 14 weeks away. Right now is the perfect time for you to get started. If it's going to be your first half marathon or you just want to go ahead and smash that 5K PR, this is going to be the perfect time to get started. So for that, I know the El Paso Marathon has ambassador runs beginning. They already began like 2 weekends ago. Every Sunday morning, they gather at 6:45, usually at San Jacinto Plaza, and get the run started right sharp at 7 a.m. So each one of the ambassadors, I know they represent one of the main local running groups. So it's a beautiful running community. Everybody's there to support beginners, so people more advanced level just come on, show up and let's help you to get started into this running world. Okay, so I know for running, for many of us, we treat it as a therapy. We begin running maybe sometimes for health purposes, kind of like to maybe lose a couple of pounds there in the beginning, but you start noticing the positive impact that running has into your life. I feel that crossing that finish line for us is just a way to show what our body is capable of, and our body, of course, is going to follow your mind, and it's important as part of the training process as well to develop that mindset. I feel like running has like a very positive impact, how you start to view things into your life, become a little bit more positive. It allows you to develop some even like strength in your life. You feel like more empowered to accomplish maybe other things that you thought you could never accomplish before. So I think many of us begin to treat running, and we even mentioned running is our therapy. So for today's guest, I was recommended about this guest by a shout out to Shannon. Thank you, Shannon, for the recommendation. And hello, Shannon. She's one of the ambassadors, by the way. So, Des Cota, let me introduce you a little bit about Des Cota. Coach Des. She's the co-founder of El Paso Track Club and co-founder of Deserae Collective nonprofit. Des has been a coach and personal trainer for 12 years and practicing mental skills coach since 2020. She's a certified as a personal trainer, flow instructor, functional patterns practitioner, and she also has a master's in sports and performance psychology. She has built her career around holistic health. Deserae's mission is to optimize performance by ensuring that all of her clients understand how mental, emotional, and physical health can impact an overall well-being. She aims to help clients, athletes, and exercises master their pursuits by developing mindset skills such as resilience and integrating them into their physical training and daily lives. So welcome, Des. How are you?
Thank you. I am doing very well. It's very, very good to be here.
I'm excited. I didn't know about you before. So through this recommendation, I was able to see everything that you do. I was able to take a look at your Instagram, and I got very excited to see everything that you do and how you are able to apply your background, for example, psychology into running. So I guess, first of all, how did you get into running?
Well, I have been a runner and not a distance runner, just to be very clear. I am a sprinter through and through. I've been a runner since I was 9. I fell in love with track at that age, and then I continued to run from then into now. I run masters track with the USATF, so we compete in meets during the summer, and with running EPTrackClub, which is something that I've wanted to do since I graduated with my undergrad, was get people together to do sprints, because I know distance and running is such a common thing, but I had the idea to bring people together to do more short and fast bursts. And it's something that running has carried me so far, and so many opportunities have been presented to me because of running, including getting to go to college and compete at the Division I level, and being able to utilize all of the things that I've learned because of how intense and difficult sport is and all of the wins and the losses. I have been able to translate that into so many parts of my life, and it's continued to just bring me to so many different new people. I've met so many cool people through the running community here, and just gotten so many cool opportunities, including just getting to be here and be with you and do really cool podcasts and have really cool conversations about running, something I love so much.
And I already have like 1,000 questions out of that amazing introduction that you just gave us. So go back. You say you started at 9. Who got you started? Did just your parents? How did that happen?
So I have 2 older sisters, and one of the reasons that I could advance so much in my coordination and just my and my skills when it came to sport is because I saw them running and jumping, and I just wanted so badly to do what they were doing. And at the time, my middle sister was running middle school track, and I was just happened to be going into the long jump pit and just running on the runway and then jumping into the pit. And my dad was like, "Oh, you're pretty good at that." And then from then he's like, you want to do track? And he, at the time, it was just ads in the paper, so he looked at some of the ads in the paper, and there was a team, the El Paso Comets, and I started running with them and ran with them from the time I was in elementary through high school. And because my parents fostered that desire to just want to move and do something outside of what I did was soccer and basketball, it was just something I just really enjoyed it. And even to this day, you come across people all the time that say that they don't really enjoy running, and it's something that it takes a lot for them to want to do. And it's always just been something that have been motivated to do no matter what, except distance. Running. I think anything over a mile, I'm like,
Well, girl, I think I'm on the opposite side. I'm afraid of the short distance, fast races. I feel like it's a completely different world. For me, it's like, send me far and slow, and I'll be more than happy just to keep running. All right, so you were always in track when you were growing up, and I love to see when I get to go to the track to see all the kids, like be there like since the morning. Do you think that was part to help you have that discipline, that mentality of just be there since you were a little kid?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're right. Because the meets are all day,
Yes.
right? That's something. And long jump. I was a long jumper. I was a jumper, and so I would be there from 7 a.m. is when we would start during the summer just to avoid the heat. And then I would be there. I'd run the 4x4, and so I'd be there first event and then last event. So we wouldn't leave until 3 p.m. sometimes. And I think part of the discipline, the commitment, the resilience, the ability to be patient all came from that sport. Because I play basketball, I play volleyball, and those games are just short and quick. And there's so many things to distract you in those sports. There's a ball, and you have teammates. And in track, it is a sport that
it's such a mental sport. Running is such a mental sport, and I think running is everything sometimes, but running. For running, you actually have to it's a nutrition, it's a discipline, it's the sleep, it's the stress, it's your mental strength. It's like so many factors that impact the run performance. So how are you able to develop all of these skills as you were growing up?
Oh gosh, I think when I think and reflect back on it, I think my support system was a huge part of why I was able to persevere. And I've never quit a sport. I've never been allowed to quit a sport, right? And I think now it's more common. Sports participation is down pretty significantly right now. And I think that obviously COVID had a lot to do with that. But growing up, my parents were always, my dad was in the military. I was a military brat. And as much as people think that he was very drill sergeant, it was never like that. He was always very encouraging encouraging, and my parents went to all of our games, and they showed us that if we were willing to dedicate the time and make the commitment, that they were willing to go out of their way to make sure that we got to practices and that we got to all our games, and then supported us through all of those things. And I think something else too that was very...
And I'm starting to interrupt here because I don't know, like a thought came to my mind. I feel like we treat sports sometimes as a punishment, something that has to be enforced. Like the way that I'm seeing that you had to, you were doing in order to be allowed to be in track or to be part of sports, right? Kind of the opposite. So was that also taught to you by your parents?
Yeah, I think the something that I didn't realize until much later, and I'm sure they didn't name it either, but the intrinsic motivation versus like external motivation, where I was not so much motivated by the awards and the accolades and being on the podium, but I just enjoy it. And I think for you too, right? Like, it's more about the process and the progress you make rather than the outcome. Like, you can sign up for a marathon and you can have this desire to go a certain time, but along the way, there's these daily habits that become very, they become constants in your life, and they just make you feel better, and they lead to something that makes you feel more motivated in all aspects of your life. And for me, that intrinsic motivation has been huge. And when I think about how that came to be, is just my mom and dad were just so never worried about how we perform or what place we got, but they were always concerned with how we felt or how we thought we did, or whether we thought we were getting better or putting in the work to be better. And those are such important aspects of why we do what we do. And I mean, I have so many friends that are distance runners now, and everybody is really excited to get their first marathon or to get to their next marathon. And the thing I see about or with these people, and they're the same people that come out to EPTrackClub to get their speed work in, is that they're just enjoying the process and just so happy to have something to look forward to. And then not only that, just I've always had a community of teammates too that have always encouraged me or made me feel like I could accomplish something, and then made me look forward to the next thing and the next thing. So the advice that I would give, especially for people that are trying to do half and full marathons right now, is just maintain those small goals and focus more on the progress rather than what the outcome is.
I agree. I feel like for me, like the race day is so stressful. Like I even have anxiety. I'm always stressing out about race day. But for me, like the beautiful thing is the process, because I feel it becomes part of your personality, your daily habits. Sometimes maybe you're not having a good day, but just simply going out and going for your run, it already gives you like a sense of accomplishment. Hey, I already got this. I'm able to go through other things during the day. So
yes, exactly.
I think it's the process of getting there. For me, it's the most beautiful thing. I think you already did your marathon. It's just about getting your medal at the end. Right?
Yes, I mean, and just the that part too. The process is something, like when I tell you, it's translated to all aspects of my life. I share this with people all the time. It's that I hated school so much that it wasn't even just the learning part. It was just the structured part. I had to be on the bus at a certain time and be in class at a certain time and be told what I needed to learn. And so when I went and decided to go and get my master's degree, it was kind of a big deal for me and my family. It was kind of like, oh, that's interesting, because you don't even like school like that. But because I had running, especially, and in college I did the multis, which is the heptathlon and the pentathlon.
Wow.
So
impressive.
I was at practice for 3 to 4 hours some days, and then the weekends we were competing again, or over the course of 3 to 4 days during conference meet, and had 4 to 10 events on the weekends. And so that sense of being able to know that I could physically accomplish those things and mentally get over those humps of just not performing well in one event and then having to go to the next one, I think that transferred really, really well when it came to furthering my education and going for my master's. And
how did you prepare for all of that as a student? Like being able to be on your track meets, or having the nutrition, having the energy. How do you prepare for that as a student?
So I was really, really bad when it came to in college. Like I honestly almost flunked out my freshman year of my undergrad. And the only thing that motivated me to get back in a position where I was getting my GPA up was knowing that track would be taken away from me. They were about to take me out of New Mexico State. And so the part of me that was able to get over that hump was recognizing that I needed to make a huge shift in order to show up and be the best that I could every weekend. And my nutrition was honestly horrible. At the time, I ate all kinds of meat, and now I'm plant-based. But I survived off of like Arby's and McDonald's and during that time. And then as far as being able to recover, I think that was probably one of the things that I was best at. And even now, I think that's something that I have an advantage of at my age versus people that stopped moving or are still moving, but they're not doing anything to recover. So I think that those things weren't dialed into later, the nutrition, the recovery, the focus. I wasn't so clear on that when I was 18 to 23. And now as an elder athlete.
Oh my God, don't say that, please. You look so young.
Elder athlete.
I don't want to ask your age, but you look a baby to me.
Yeah, I feel like I'm back in my 20s now, but I just have such a better mindset when it comes to those things.
Don't you wish? And sometimes I say that, like to my daughter, or like, I wish I had I mean, in my 40s, but I wish I had like the confidence that I have now back in my 20s.
Yeah.
You know, that thing that I don't give a damn. I'm just enjoying what I love to do.
1000%.
And I wish I had like that confidence back in my 20s.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah, there's so many different things where I look back on and I'm like, okay, well, I could have done things a lot differently, but now I have the gift of foresight, and I have a better idea of what these bad decisions are going to lead me to when it comes to training. If I go out the night before, am I going to get up and run and do what I have to do in order to feel like I'm prepared for track meets? And when we competed this summer, oh my gosh, it was so hot. There was one meet where we were in like 105-degree weather. And again, just playing into the things that I put myself through in order to feel like I can manage other tasks throughout my day is very interesting. Yeah, just to know that I think too, I'm just so movement centered, and like you were saying at the beginning, just running is such a form of therapy for us. It's just a way that you can be in your body and be mindful and rhythmic without the need to feel like you are holding on to the present or to the past or to the future. And so I think that for people, even if they don't like running, trying to grasp onto something that makes you feel that way, whether it's crafting or gardening or just finding another hobby outside of something that's just like extremely demanding and physically exerting the way running is. I think that's so important for people to find, especially in this climate when things are just constantly stressing us out and making us feel overwhelmed and overworked. But yeah, I think resilience is probably the biggest thing that I've taken away from my running career and from coaching athletes to also be better and make progress, is just building that muscle within me and then being able to help the next generation of
and
athletes.
that's a cool thing that now you have that experience and now you are able to help, others in the new running community. So I see that you had your master's in sports performance, right? And then psychology. That's very cool. So tell me a little bit about that.
So in sport and performance psychology, what we do is we go into sessions with athletes, and it's pretty much kind of like a talk therapy, but we do have the limitations on the things that we can talk about with athletes. So anything that borders into anxiety or depression, then those things we would have to refer out. But ultimately, the things that are all on the table is pretty much everything in the athlete's life, whether it's school or if it's a career, if it's an adult athlete, or if it's family life. Those are all things that would create or would have an impact on how they perform. So if any of those things are out of alignment and not allowing the athlete to perform optimally, then we talk through those things and then we develop a plan and tools in order to help them overcome whatever it is that may be inhibiting them from performing well. So some of that can be grounding practices, breath work. It could be lessons and discussions around self-talk, on building resilience, and even imagery. And it's a lot of positive psychology techniques that help them create the space for themselves to. One of the most important things, right, in sport is that you enjoy it. So I always tell the kids that I work with, like, if you're not enjoying it, then we really got to reassess what it is that's making you not feel like you're enjoying it and like it's a job. So that's one of our jobs as mental skills consultants, is to make sure that they're still getting joy out of their sport and then also being able to be consistent. Because I think for me as an athlete, and maybe you can attest to this too, it's just consistency sometimes starts to waver depending on the stress that you're under in your life. And for athletes, even though you think like an elementary school, middle school, high school athlete, like, oh, what could they be dealing with that would possibly like turn the world upside down? If these kids really go through a lot, and being able to
So
share
you
the
work
space.
mostly with kids? Is that your experience as
Yes.
a therapist?
So we usually I go by mental skills consultant or mental performance coach. And I usually work with predominantly my clients have been middle school and high school athletes. And I've worked with some collegiate athletes when I was living back in Oakland. But for the most part, it's trying to tailor these tools to them so that they can grasp the concepts and be able to apply them in a way that makes sense to them. Because when I was doing my master's and going through the program, and we had to do our internships, I was working with adults first, and that was an easier conversation, kind of like what we're having now, or just like a flow. And so, yeah, it's the same thing with like physically coaching kids. Like I have a session, a client after this who's 9, and I'm going to go in the session and we do a bunch of like agility games in order for him to get what he needs out of our session and still have fun where I can keep his attention. So definitely trying to cater and tailor these things to my audience is something that I have to be very, very mindful of.
Well, I find it fascinating because, like we were saying, I feel like a lot of these sports and sport performance, if you don't have that mental strength, I think it should be like part of your training. Try to work that. How do you work that with your clients?
So it just kind of depends on what they are in need of, and for the most part, something that we focus on a lot is self-talk. So I work with high school athletes as a hurdles coach.
Do you work only with athletes or other type of people as well?
I work. That's a good question. I do general population too. So
Okay.
A lot of the clients that I have my athletes who I do sports performance with, but we also incorporate mental skills techniques into those. So I might give them a worksheet, and our hour-long sessions will be very physically dominant, but I could give them a worksheet and be like, here, this is what we need to work on. This is a SWOT analysis. Tell me what your strengths, your weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are. This is a worksheet on confidence. This is what you do, and tell me what you did well in this last game and how we can build upon it. But I have personal training clients also, and it's the same thing. We go into sessions. Every single session before I start, we always do a mindfulness practice. So I'll make them go through their foam rolling. We'll do mobility, and then I have to either sit them down or we stand up and we do some kind of breath work. And so
I was noticing some of your videos that you focus a lot on breathing as well, techniques.
Yeah. Do you have a practice? Do you have a practice that you do either before?
I have to confess, no. I have to confess that I don't. I do try sometimes to practice a little bit of mindfulness. I put my music down and focus. I just try to focus on my breathing, listen to your breathing, listen to the footsteps, the foot strike. Just pay attention to that surrounding, and that, especially especially when I feel like I really need that run for emotional purposes or just to just release a little bit of that stress. I feel that mindfulness just without the music, just listening to every part of my body as I'm running, I found it like very helpful as a therapy.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, that's more of a practice than most people have. You like ask people and they're like, no, I don't really have anything in particular. But even like running is that, and I know that's why so many people are into distance running right now, because that's time away from their phones or the noise that they didn't get before. And so even if you don't have a practice, I think the intention behind everything is very, very important. So I tell all the people that show up to track club on Monday nights, when you show up here, you have to have an intention of some sort. So if that means that you're coming here and you want to be challenged by making sure that you do every rep, or making sure that you are not slowing down before the line, or making sure that you stay in your body while you're getting through your warm-ups, all of those things are an intention that you can set before we begin our session, and you can utilize that as an anchor that's going to guide you. So every time you feel like you're out of sorts or you're straying away from what you intended to do, then you can anchor yourself back into that intention.
Yeah, and I think that's very important also as coaches to teach our clients, our athletes, to make sure that to have a purpose to every run. Like, what is the purpose of today's run? If it's easy run, treat it as an easy run. There's like a purpose for you to just keep this run easy and conversational for any other physiological purposes, right? But there's always like an intention or a purpose behind each one of those runs. But in case of these, I love the idea of what is your purpose for today? What is it that you want to accomplish by the end of this run? I think it's very important to go with that mindset for that run.
1,000%. And I think that's another. Speaking of intention, and people who don't necessarily run, but they like spend their time in the gym, I know that people go into the gym and, just like we were talking about before, the outcome is more important than the process to them. And so they'll go in there without an idea of what they want to get out of the session, other than I'm just going to hit legs and I'm going to hit upper body, and that's going to be what it is. But the same thing with people who are in the gym, just, I want to spend this session focusing on my breath, or focusing on my engagement, or focusing on making sure that I warm up properly so that I'm not putting myself in a position to get injured. So I think that little golden nugget is so vital in anything you do, any movement centered thing you do, any work thing you do. I mean, intention is just so important. And I think that we lose sight of that because throughout our day, we're so rushed to get through the day, to get through our tasks, that we forget that we are needing to do things in a way that allows us to be intentional about it. Where I know I've been in positions too where I'll be putting stuff away in my bag while I'm like have a million thoughts in my mind, and so I can't find what I'm looking for. And even just like a simple task like that, just like brushing your teeth mindfully, or making sure that you're not overstimulated when you are packing your bag to leave the house.
And lately we get so distracted, especially I feel like with social media, we get so distracted, and I feel like our attention span has shortened. So we need like the constant just information quickly. Sometimes we don't even have the time or the patience to watch now like a full movie. I'm just just to put an example, or like read a book, because we're now so used of getting news like in such a short delivery of information, just to get everything fast as on the go. So sometimes we don't have that patience to listen to each other, to or to put that mindfulness into like a running, just carry out an activity, right? So, but yeah, we get very distracted by everything that we see out there now.
Yes, and I think to the patience part of it, with the distractions, they keep us from being patient, not only with other people, but with ourselves too. And especially, I mean, it's a common thing for sprinters. Like we get certain injuries too, whether it's quads or hamstrings, but I know for for everyone who's training for a marathon or the half right now, the biggest thing that I have been seeing is just injuries that are related to overtraining or just hitting the pavement so frequently, and a lot of it is just like runner's knee or tight hips, and we don't have the patience with ourselves in order to let ourselves heal and recover or sit on a foam roller for 5 to 10 minutes.
Exactly.
So yeah, those things are being taken away from us too, just by the inability to be intentional, is not allowing ourselves to be fully in a place where we can accept things as they are. If that means that we need to slow down that day and we're supposed to get 10 miles in, but your body's feeling like it's just a stretch and stride day, then that's what it has to be.
Yeah, I feel like also that's also like a thing of social media. We see everybody hitting their Stravas, their number, like always fast, always placing, always,
Yes.
and sometimes unconsciously, I feel like it helps, like it gives us a certain pressure to have a certain pace, to hit the podium, to meet a certain time. But sometimes we forget that it's a process of just enjoying, like enjoying the process. Why are you doing it? What is your purpose of, and to stop comparing ourselves to what we see also like out there on Strava, right? Or
Yes.
social media out there. So I feel like also that, and like you're saying, like recovery, I feel like as you learn more and you get more experience, you also learn that the better you learn how to recover or spend time recovering intentionally, the better you will be able to come back to track and hit those numbers, right?
Yes.
To have like a better performance as well.
Yeah, and I think the as much as the community that is being built all over in the form of just run clubs, it's hard for people to be in those spaces and then be able to run with everybody, and then one day you're just hurting and you can't do it,
Exactly.
and so you show up and you want to run so bad, and you put yourself in a position to take longer to recover because your desire to just want to be with the group is so high, and I think part of that is allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. Like, yes, we are very strong, but we can also be fragile. We can also have moments of needing to take a day or a week or a month just to be able to do what we love to do and get back to where we want to be. And whether that's on the road running long miles or if that's on the track, I see it so frequently. It's just something that is very, the recovery is always pushed to the side. That's the first thing that people deprioritize when it comes to training or wanting to compete.
Now, Coach Des, we see that, for example, a lot of runners out there, right? They start running, they want to do always more and more, faster, more volume, faster. And we know that's a recipe for injury, right? But what do you recommend to all of these runners out there? Because it's very common to see, I guess that mistake. People start running and they start going for more. I just did a 5K. I'll enroll in a half marathon in 2 months or 3 months. So people are just, I feel like sometimes, I don't want to say pressure, but I started to run. Now I got to run a marathon, right? What do you recommend to these people who they're just doing and like registering for these? I mean, running for a marathon, I feel it requires so much discipline, so much dedication, so much time to really spend on building a base, a foundation, then to start working maybe on your speed, maybe start working on volume and so on, right? But you don't see that. You see people just jumping straight out. I just want to get and say that I run a marathon, right?
Yeah.
And obviously we see a lot of people getting injured. What is your recommendation as a coach to all of these runners that they want to start registering for all these races?
I would say stop and foam roll. That would be the biggest difference between you getting to train the way you would like to and be put in a position where you're set back is going to be foam rolling. So myofascial release, taking every opportunity that you can to hop in ice baths or put on your heating pad before you go out, or making sure that you're getting in different planes of motion. The biggest problem I see in from where I'm sitting, I again, just like as a functional coach, is that the people that are training for marathons, you're staying in one plane of motion for miles and miles and miles. And when they go into the gym to do their strength training, they're doing bench press and they're doing the Smith machine and you're doing reverse lunges. Again, it's all in the same plane of motion. So aside from the foam rolling and releasing the stress in your muscles, the best thing you could do is to train in rotation to make sure that you are doing more mobility where it's putting you in different planes of motion, because you continue to tax that same plane of motion, the sagittal plane moving forward. It's just a recipe for disaster. And again, I've seen it so much, and I talk ad nauseum to some of my friends. I'm like, oh, this is what's going on. This. I have this IT band need, and I ask them if they're foam rolling. The answer is usually no. No. And then I'll ask them if what they're doing in the gym, or I'll see it, and it's never anything that is helpful to helping them be a better runner. So why are you as a distance runner training for a marathon doing tricep kicks? Why are you as a distance runner training for a marathon doing bench press? Like, those things are not conducive to helping you have a better stride pattern or be faster. So working with free weights, dumbbells, medicine balls, the TRX straps, sandbags, those things will help you not only work in a different plane of motion, but also help your stabilizing muscles. If you're relying on the Smith machine to do squats, it's probably like one of the worst things you can do as someone who's trying to go out and do road miles, especially because the terrain is not always going to be flat and you're going to be put in positions to have to find your stability. So the best thing you can do is help to train your core and your stabilization by going into more rotational movement and doing more functional movement. But you have to also be careful about what people call functional, because a lot of the things you see on Instagram, again, just going back to how much of a detriment it can be to your training plan. You go on Instagram and look up functional movement, and it's just like things that are just regular, that are going to continue to, like elevated, like heel elevated squats. Also would not recommend ever doing those. But the program I would say that would be best to follow in order to get those things, the myofascial release and helping to retrain your fascia to work in a more functional way, would be functional patterns. Which is the 10-week, there's a 10-week course, and they take you through all of those things. They're not paying me to say that, but I love it. I wish they were.
But simply when you know like something works and something is just going to be beneficial, it's going to help you, you just advocate for it.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, I have been a functional patterns advocate since 2000 and I think 18, and the movements look very weird, and I think that's why people are afraid to try them. And when people see me doing what I'm doing, they're like,
But sometimes when you go, I love when I'm one of those that runs to the PT as soon as like something hurts, because I know they're the ones that know how to give you these specific movements of stability, of like some weird things that you will never do at the gym. They look very simple, but they actually, I mean, they have a reason for it.
Yes.
But they're like magical. They help you so much.
Yes, and that's how I feel about functional patterns. And I mean, animal flow too.
What is animal flow? I noticed that you have that as part of your background and you promote that. What is that?
Animal flow is a ground-based practice, predominantly ground-based practice, and it incorporates elements of breakdancing and gymnastics and parkour. So the movements can look very rhythmic and very fluid once you get into more advanced levels. I'm level 1 certified, and so I teach level 1 movements, and those are really good for mobilizing, for training your core endurance. You can do explosive movements with animal flow, and they're all named after animals. They're like very primal movements, and they work.
I feel like it helps you also like with breathing techniques, like as we like through movement, but also like with breathing. Gives me that impression.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. So animal flow and functional patterns, those are two practices that I would highly recommend to anyone who's looking to be more intentional and be more centered on cues and engagement, and looking to get get away from being injured,
Okay.
whether that's being proactive about trying to avoid injury, or whether that is trying it out because you've tried everything else and nothing else has worked.
Do you give classes? I want to enroll. When do we start?
I do animal flow classes. I used to do throughout the year. I would do full moon flow, so it was a free class and it was open to the community. And I would either pick a park and we would all just flow there. But I haven't done them. Last one I did was last month, and they were kind of just intermittent. But in January, I'm going to be starting again, and I think in December I might offer another free class. And then the functional patterns, I usually I was doing an online class, and then my schedule kind of picked up, and so as far as the functional training, I haven't been able to give a class, I think, since the beginning of the year probably. But I'm going to start offering those a little bit more so that I can spread that into the community, because I think the biggest thing for me in what I do is wanting people to do what they love and do it without pain, without having to worry that their body is not going to tolerate the stress that they're putting on themselves. So those are, if I had to give two recommendations,
It will be those.
flow,
Okay.
functional patterns, animal movement, or
All right.
animal flow.
Awesome. Now you're a sprinter and you're a track coach. Now I know like speed workout can sometimes be a little bit stressful to the body. So how do you do speed workout with runners that come to your club?
So what we do is we always start with a 3 to 4 lap warm up, and recently I've been incorporating more skips into our warm up. So I'll make them. I know they hate it too.
I know it's like it's kind of like you look so funny doing them. It's like I have to do them like in my room by myself, like locked in.
That's exactly. I was like, I know you guys feel goofy right now, but I promise it's gonna be so good.
And you see them like on social media, and they look so pretty, like the professional, like doing them, you know. And you're like,
yeah.
no.
And they're all rolling their eyes at me every time they go by. Like, you guys look great. Skipping. Yeah, but for the biggest thing I see whenever I'm out at the track and we have so many people that only do road miles is that everybody runs so flat-footed.
Okay.
So the skipping helps them be more on the balls of their feet, so they have more of an idea of what that feels like to go into plantar and dorsiflexion.
Okay.
And so that's how we start our hour, and then after that we do a bunch of dynamic stretches. And I always tell them too, the dynamic stretching, the warm up always feels like it takes longer, and most of the time it does. In our actual session, I think our actual track session maybe takes like 25 to 30 minutes at most.
Is dynamic warm up better than like static warm up?
Yes, 1000%. If you are going to be doing anything where you are stressing your body out or taxing your body, you always want to do a dynamic warm up. They're movements that mimic what you're going to be doing, whether you're going to be running or whether you're going to be
ideally 5-10 minutes. 10
yes,
minutes.
so I would say for sprinting, we used to warm up for 45 to 50 minutes when I was in college. And
I feel like it's the opposite. If you're doing like for example, like track, you need to spend a lot of time warming up and then go ahead and do the
yes, because the last
segments.
thing we want is pulled hamstrings and pulled quads, which has been an issue in the past for people that have come to the track and either are not hydrated or they get there late and or they're just going through the motions in their warm up. And not to say that that's only when it happens, like it could happen to anybody, but the dynamic aspect of it, we do like high knees and butt kickers. We do a lot of rotation through our T-spine, and again, the rotation is because running is a rotational movement. You have the cross slings in your body, your posterior sling system and your anterior sling system, and those things are working as you're running. And so when we're warming up and going through those dynamic stretches, we're warming up everything that you're going to be going through, or all the movements you're going to be going through when you're doing your sprints. So we'll take like maybe like 15 to 20 yards distance, and I'll take them through dynamic stretches for maybe 15 or 20 minutes. usually like 15 minutes, and then we'll get into our sprinting. But the dynamic stretching is always the way to go. I see it too when I am even just passing people that are about to like get their run started and they're going into static holds. I'm like, oh, don't do it. Just go do some butt kicks or just some high knees at least before you go into your distance runs. And I think that is probably the point of frustration maybe for people who might be new and are used to distance running is how long it takes us to warm up.
Warm up, yes.
Yeah, the last thing I want is for anyone to get hurt. So I always warn them.
For a 5K run, like a 5K race, you have to go and run maybe like a 2 miles, like to warm up, to actually get your muscles ready. Versus like distance, you kind of like saving the energy.
Yes.
So it's kind of like the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. And I whenever I train or am doing like a longer or working with people that are mostly distance running, I always have to give them that warning. Like, this is going to take a while, but I can attest I haven't been injured, and this is what's worked for me, and there's science behind why we do what we do and why it takes us as long to do what we do. So that's why we're going to start our session this way before we jump into our track work.
Perfect. And I know doing strides and sprints, they help you improve your VO2 max, and they help you build that endurance also like for distance runners. And that's why like they're so beautiful to add them kind of like at the end. They help like to build that endurance. So when is it ideal for you guys to be adding those speed workouts for distance runners?
For distance runners, I guess it is dependent upon where you're at in your training. A lot of the people that are coming out are preparing for the half or the marathon in February, and right now oh my gosh, Shannon, we went and did hill sprints. Their speed work was 64 hill sprints times 60 seconds. Oh my gosh, it was very, very intense. Right now, that kind of stress on the body to make sure that you're putting yourself in a position where you can prepare for those taxing moments during the marathon. That's kind of where they're at. So it just really depends on what their goal is and where they're at in their training plan. But I would always recommend at least getting in some short, like 30 second, 35 second, 45 second, 50 second, 60 second bursts to anyone who is training for marathons. And that's just so that your body doesn't hit a plateau, and also so that you can use your energy more efficiently, because that's another thing that we see out on the track. One of the coolest things about what we do out there, and one of my favorite things to see, is the improvement of the people that have been coming week after week, and people that have been with us since we started last year. They've learned what it feels like to run efficiently, seen their strides improve so much. And some of the distance people that have come out, it's the same thing, where I just get to witness how much more relaxed they are, how much more aware they are of what their thresholds are and what their percentages are. If I say 75%, then they know what that is, and they know not to push past that on the next one, so they can come back and hit that 100-meter sprint really, really, really hard. So I would really recommend anything that's just like faster than what your tempo run or what your mile time would be for your half or your full marathon. Getting that in at least 2 months in advance so that you can manage your stride and get that feeling in your body of what it is to get that kick, and to be put in a position where you're taxing a different energy system entirely than you are when you are on the road doing your distance runs.
Awesome. So I know you're part of the EPTrackClub. When did this club started?
We started in June of last year.
Okay.
And so we've been running it for a little over a year, and we are very proud to say that we've been really consistent. I think the only time we've had to cancel is like during windstorms and maybe a holiday or two. But
when do you guys meet?
Mondays at 6:45 p.m. at Burgess. You want to come? I was going to
Yes,
say,
I need to work on those things.
It's so much fun, and depending on what your idea of fun is, I guess.
I guess torture and pain and
Yeah.
having your lungs on fire.
Yeah.
I think it's hard. And then you're reborn, and that's the beauty
Yes,
of it.
but yeah, we're there if ever you wanna come and get some
Every
work in.
Monday, 6:45 p.m. at
At
the track
Burgess.
at Burgess. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Do you have like a big a group of people coming?
Right now we're probably averaging anywhere between 40 to 50 people
That's a lot.
right now. Yeah, we have
pretty
I think when we started last summer, we were our max, we hit like 130 something people at one time. So I was just sending like heats after heats.
So how do you guys organize the track for all these people?
it
Is
was-
it like by groups? So you
So what I did was there's 8 lanes, right? And
Yeah.
and I would just make sure we were doing kind of shorter distance. So we didn't do anything over 200 meters at that time. So I could make sure that they like hit the finish line and then were able to walk the 200 meters and get back in line. So gosh, I don't know what the math is because I'm terrible at math, but the amount of heats that I was sending during that time was really intense. But it was really, really easy. They made it super duper easy.
Oh,
It was
okay. Sounds fun.
but yeah, that was probably the biggest group I've ever managed, and I had a lot of help. Uri is my co-founder, and then Natalie, who's one of my best friends. She's also out there helping me all the time manage the people and making sure that morale stays up and people stay motivated, and everybody is aware of where we're at, because when you're tired, it's like the easiest thing to do is to lose track of your reps, or it's hard to listen and know where you're supposed to be or the instructions. So I have a lot of help and support in being able to make this a success. And the reason I started it is because I want more people to run at the masters level in the summer. So sign up for USATF.
when is it?
So there are 2 seasons in track. There's an indoor season, which is happening starting in December, and it goes through March. And you have to travel to those meets because we don't have an indoor facility here. So the closest one is Albuquerque, which I think I'm going to go and compete in February. And then Texas Tech also has an indoor facility, and you just kind of have to look for the meets and then just commit to one and just see what works for your schedule, and then obviously train. But I think that is probably people's biggest apprehension when they ask me, like, oh, they're interested, but they need a training plan and someone to hold them accountable. And as much as I can do that on Monday nights, it's just really taxing for me to try to manage. But I think this year I'm going to try to put together groups of sprinters so that we can do that. But the outdoor season starts in May.
And what are the categories for competition?
So they have a mid distance, they have long distance, they have sprints, hurdles, jumps. So you could, if you wanted to compete in a 1500, if you wanted to compete in an 800 or 200, then as long as the meet has that for our division, then you can. And usually the summer competitions, which happen around the city, so they have them at Burgess or Andrus or Parkland. You would just have to go online and register, and whatever event you want to register. If you want a long jump, if you want a triple jump, then you can register for those events and then just compete over the weekend. And it's very, very easy to get started, but obviously training is another thing entirely.
So do you usually participate in these ones?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So actually this year was the first time I like, my love for running and for track, my passion for it has been so strong since I stopped running, that my idea was to keep running and to compete in the master's level. And so I graduated. My last competitive undergrad season was in 2014, and I have been wanting ever since then to compete. And so last year was finally the year that I got it together. I was able to train the way I wanted to, and I put myself in a position to commit. And so even though it was only me and Natalie, shout out to Natalie, she was my training partner and the only other woman that competed with with me at the master's level. But there was always a bunch of, in the mid distance and the distance races, there were masters from New Mexico that would come to our meets to compete, and so there's a lot more competitors in the mid distance and the distance races than there are for the sprint. So that's my big goal, is to
That
get.
sounds exciting.
It is
so
exciting. Fun. It is super fun. It's like very nerve wracking. You feel like you want to throw up, and your stomach goes into
That's
your butt.
so beautiful.
It's my kind of party.
Right. All right, Jess. So any recommendations, last words that you want to tell our listeners
Ooh, recommendations.
to come and to the EPTrackClub on Mondays,
Yes.
follow you?
So yes, please come to EPTrackClub. Has a page, EPTrackClub on Instagram. We're easy to find. All the information is in our bio on how to find us. And then sometime we might be at Guillen starting a little bit later in the year, but if you follow us, then I'll give you all that information on our track club page. My personal Instagram is Cut by Cota, and again, I do free community classes, and I am haven't done a lot of content recently. I've just kind of been in focusing more on the track club page and the nonprofit, but I do a lot of reels on mindfulness and movement. My nonprofit that I started with my sisters is Three Deserts Collective, and that nonprofit is meant to help youth athletes be able to participate in sports without the burden of costs. And so we provide uniforms and shoes and scholarship opportunities and registration fees to any athletes that may need them,
Nice.
so they can participate in
So
sport.
are you like raising money, like funds for those?
Yes.
Okay.
So we are Three Deserts Collective on Instagram, and the link is in our bio. And right now we are accepting donations. We have 2 campaigns going on. One is for scholarship opportunities and for gear for athletes, and then the
Okay.
other campaign is for food banks. So we're trying to get some money together to give some food banks some money in the area, or you could just donate to the food banks directly. But we're also taking donations at the track,
Awesome.
taking
Okay.
food donations at the track, and that is on my personal page. It's my most recent post, actually. You swipe and you can see what we're accepting. So if you do want to donate and you have something you want to give, you can bring it to the track on Mondays.
And are you taking clients as well, like individual clients, one-on-one?
Yes. So I am doing right now, my load is a little bit heavy, but I am considering doing a speed clinic during Christmas break. So when the kids are out, it would likely be at Burgess, and it would just be working on explosivity, agility, and speed training for the kids. So it could be any sport. We would just be focusing on those things to help them improve and get a better idea of how to utilize those in their particular sport.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking to us
Thank
today.
you.
It was amazing to listen to your story. I'm glad we didn't talk before, because that way I get to, know a little bit more about you, about everything that you do. I know Shanoa, she's so amazing. You need to have her on the podcast.
Oh,
So a shout out to Shano. Thank you.
Thank you,
Of course,
Dr.
I
Fuentes.
hope to come into the training to be track club to visit you
Please.
guys, and everybody. Please go ahead and give him a follow. And looking forward to see of everything that you do. So thank you for sharing your work for the community.
Thank you so much. It was so good to connect with you.
Awesome. And I'll post the links to your Instagram page so people can follow you and reach out to you. If they're interested to
Awesome.
work with
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thank you. I
Awesome.
appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bye. Until the
Bye.
next one.